Ilaya wa ina Ilaya Rajun. When I first met Ossie more than 33 years ago, I was in awe. He had a razor-sharp intellect, sagely wisdom, preternatural, some might say spiritual warmth, and a taste for adventure, and sometimes misadventure, and a mischievous smile that always told me that fun times were ahead. He was a magnet for interest in people and gave me an instant and high-quality social life. At first I thought there must be a catch. Perhaps he had some unsavoury views. Perhaps he supported Manchester United or Arsenal or worse. But no, he even supported the right football team. I was honoured to become his friend. He taught me so much. With a Shakespearean understanding of the human condition, he was always listening out for the unheard voices, championing the underdog, on the side of the subjugated. Most people, myself included, speak then listen. Fikret listened then spoke. He was a brilliant scientist. I remember reading a personal reference from his PhD supervisor, wrote for a job application. Please don't ask me how I got hold of it. It said something along the lines of, Fikret is undoubtedly the most intelligent PhD student I've ever supervised in my 25-year career. Matthew Whitby, the head of Ossie's lab in Oxford, described him as a superb scientist and the driving force behind much of their research for almost 15 years. I will remember Fikret, he said, as an incredibly generous, loyal and clever man. I was very lucky to have him as a friend and a colleague. Even when he went on his travels, he carried on with this, with helping others. While in Hanoi, he spent 6 months revising and rewriting entirely a genetics course for Hanoi University and teaching it, all for free, knowing that it would make a huge impact on the quality of teaching in that country. We can draw some comfort from knowing that his research contributed in some way to one day making the disease that took him from us a thing of the past. Ossie was passionate about his politics and frighteningly knowledgeable. I can honestly say I never managed to win an argument with him on this. And I really like arguing, and I really tried hard, and he was genuinely open to persuasion. I was always proud to introduce him to new people, knowing he'd be equally comfortable talking to presidents and paupers, and liked by both and everybody in between. Our friend Justin in Los Angeles recently recounted to me that at his wedding, he seated Ossie between the chief medical correspondent for NBC and Bill Clinton's former ambassador to the UN. Justin looked over after the first course had been served to see that Ossie had them both in fits of laughter. He was full of wonderful contradictions. He was one of the funniest people I've ever met, but he couldn't tell jokes. He could be focused and disciplined, but having lived with him, he could also be spectacularly messy. To his friends, he was a giant and leaves an incalculable legacy. He had the ability to cut through pretense and bring out the honesty in people, to allow them to see their better selves. Lasting friendships are an inevitable part of Ossie's story, and none illustrates this better than his bond with Kaz, who sadly can't be with us today because of travel restrictions. They were friends from primary schools, two boys from different backgrounds, but with a common understanding and enduring loyalty. Kaz said he was my oldest and truest friend. May he rest well. The friendship circle I share with Ossie has also stood the test of time. It hasn't dimmed, and we are closer than ever. Only 3 of us friends could be here, but we represent many. If there were no restrictions, there would be friends as far as the eye can see. Only now are we learning he had a similar impact on people during his travels in Southeast Asia. So many friends have written to me in praise of Ossie, too many to mention here, but I'll read out a few. From Jamie in Los Angeles. His IQ was only matched by his EQ, his emotional intelligence. He was so empathetic and willing to listen to other people's concerns. He was such an original thinker. His thoughts and advice weren't touched by trend or vanity. I got so used to his sagely advice that at times of trouble, I began to think, what would Ossie do? From Andy. He enriched my life in countless ways. I've lost someone I could always talk to at any time about anything. From Henna, actor. He was always so protective of me and looked after me after the naive young woman I was when I first went to university. He used to tell me off when I missed lectures. He was like a big brother I never had. His wise words resonate in my heart, and I always feel a phenomenal bond with him. Ossie was kind, sweet, caring, funny, highly intelligent, and had a special gift of welcoming everybody into his group with his gentle manner and wicked sense of humour. From Jim Askham. Honestly, I can't put into words how sad it is to say goodbye to Ossie. So many funny, caring, wise and brilliant times. You just reached in and touched everybody you met. From John Chase. He was without question a truly unique individual, character and friend. His life was full of interesting experiences, amazing achievements, great friends, loving family, ambition and acceptance in equal measure. And what he brought to our group of friends? Strength, imagination, colour, fun, emotion, intellect, well-informed opinions, warmth, cheeky, compassion, loyalty, laughter, cool, and scruffy hair sometimes. He made a huge impact without ever seeking to do so. And lastly, from Henry. When I met Ossie, I was in awe of his demeanour and charisma. As we became friends, this sense of awe dissipated and was replaced by a profound sense of mutual trust, which has remained unaffected ever since. Despite his death, I feel close to him and inspired by him. Ossie often spoke of his family, always with love, warmth and affection. He would talk of the strength and honour of his father, the grace and intelligence of his mother, and the compassion of his brothers and sisters. He was proud to have come from a large family and said to me on more than one occasion, I love my friends, but my family are always number one. I'd like to thank his family for their care and for being so strong and supportive in Ossie's last month. I'd like to thank Whitlam and Kutlu for keeping his friends informed when visits were no longer possible. I'd also like to thank Melissa for many happy years that they had together and for being tirelessly supportive in these last months. Ossie was so proud of their wonderful children, Sassy, Emmy and Jev. Their loss, I have no words for that. But we're all here for you, to comfort you, and we'll never tire of telling you stories of the great man that your father was. While there is no doubt that he truly lived life to the full, he was taken from us too soon. We here and people throughout the world grieve and are poorer for losing him. But grief is the price of love. Ossie always saw the glass as half full, not half empty. I guess you could say he always looked on the brighter side of life. When he found out about his illness, he told Kaz, "Don't worry about things you can't control. I know we are here to mourn, but we can also celebrate his life, his brilliance, his achievements, his charisma, the way he moved people. We can celebrate an inspirational father, son, brother, and friend. We can celebrate the fact that we were lucky enough to know him." Rest in peace, my dear friend.